My first studio was a 4-track. I bought it from Western A Music. They had a special. It was a rolling. It was a rolling 4-track with a rolling bass line. I think it was a TR 303 and a 606 drum machine. The most difficult drum machine I've ever had in my fucking. It was like a miniature 808, but it was hard. We didn't know nothing about drum machines, so to have to push buttons to make shit work was difficult as fuck. But I bought the machine. I bought the unit so that we could have something to make our mix records on, our mega mixes on. And I had it at my studio. I had it at my house for a while, and then later I started making some money, and I bought a Kai MG1212. That was the shit for a while because it used it was 12 tracks as opposed to 4 or 8, but you had to use 1 track for a SMPTE, which was the control track for driving all the MIDI gear. And it worked out. We did a couple of projects on that. That was dope. And I bought a 16 track. Again, I was always taught by my people to rehearse at home, get everything you can out of your musicians. There wasn't nobody programming yet. We was one of some of the first cats to go to the studio without musicians, especially in the States. They still playing guitars and they still got the right charts and shit. We ain't got nan chart yet. So we went in the studio with Daniel Sulfur for a while to do Juice's surgery. I saw what he was using. I wouldn't bought the shit. That's all. I wouldn't bought it home. So now we got time to take our time on our own at our own leisure to learn how to use this equipment, program it, take the equipment to the studio, plug it up, and drop our album. And we already done demos at the house. Even at my house, like I think I said to Dr. Green Thumb, I got a studio in my house, complete studio that used to record bands. I got a control room and I got a huge room where I'm sitting at right now. But this is a capacity to hold a small orchestra. I'm not bullshitting. The wall behind me, it's another shit. It's another 300 square feet behind me right now. But back in the day, you had to have this kind of spacing because you didn't want the drums up under the vocalist, and because you didn't want all that bleed. So they had to space shit out and put little barricades around different stuff, and that was how this shit was done. But if you ever come to my house, next time you come to my house, Dusty, we'll go in my garage, and you'll see in my garage on the walls, it's these little dots, excuse me, little dots. And I was like trying to figure out what they was for, and what they were for was it was soundproofing tiles they had put in the studio in the garage, because when they were making the albums back here, they'd go in the garage to rehearse before they came to the studio to record. Because you don't come to the studio at $100 an hour practicing unless you want to get your ass fired. James Brown would fire you on the spot for missing your shit. James Brown was notorious for finding you, or if for finding, he would find you, or you could find in the session for not hitting your notes. And they didn't have 96 tracks. They only had 8, maybe 16. Everybody going down at the same time, the bass, the guitar, the drums, the singer, everybody in the room at the same time. Background singer to the left, singer in the middle, guitar on one side, bass on another, drummer in the middle, and everybody is playing. That's why you got such unique feels, because everybody was in the moment, man. You got in the moment, and people got certain vibes. You know, when you're doing something live, man, your whole vibe changes completely. You feel it. You got energy. Everybody's energy is in this room, and they start doing shit they normally wouldn't do if they was by themselves.
Do you know what it went into to find a sample on a record. I guess the best phrase is digging in the crates, you know, going to the record store, putting the record in, and just finding that 1.3 seconds that you could loop over and over, or whatever the case is. Did you ever do that? Was that something that you did?
I never really did that, but I know Dre did. He would go out to this record store on Santa Monica called the Record Depot, and this dude, it was a private collection of a store. A guy had a store of just all kind of records, man. It wasn't even for sale. It wasn't even for sale. But people would go, it's like a record library almost. And he had turntables in there, and you can just play different shit. Drop your needle and see what you like. Just drop your needle. And sometimes he'd be in there days, man, trying to find the perfect sample. Rumor has it he was trying to buy the place at one time. The guy wouldn't sell it to him. But it was a question. Something I want to address right quick. I saw in the
which one was it? Was it the catalog deal?
No, it was Martoni.
About the what?
Rad 7 got a question about, do I remember Martoni's restaurant?
Oh, I didn't even see that one. Oh, yeah. Shit, yeah, no. Go ahead.
Yes, I remember I was there. Martoni's was on the Gower, and it was a Italian restaurant right there for Sunset, and I think it was the Gower or Hyden, one of the two. It's not there anymore. But that's where we had our West Coast record meetings at. It was close to Michel'le, up in Hollywood, and that's when we gave Jerry Heller his ultimatum at Martoni's. Martoni's had a room in the back that was like something out of the GodFather movies. And Martoni's was a real GodFather type restaurant. Okay, allegedly a couple of folks got smoked there back in the day, but they had this room in the back that you had to reserve. And we love to reserve this room. We had a little bit of money, so we could, we playing baller and shit. And that's what we had our meeting with Jerry Heller at. And in his book, he called the meeting bullshit. We called the meeting. We was the ones that was dissatisfied because nobody was really with the bitches and hoes that Eazy them was putting down at that time. People forget, man, this shit did not get accepted overnight. That shit was a fight. It was a struggle. It was a nigga rights struggle. It was a nigga rights struggle. Niggas had to fight for the right to be niggas. And we wasn't with it. And we called the meeting with me, Rudy, Unknown, Adrian Gregory, who later became the manager of Tupac and Digital Underground, who was also my manager at the time, my road manager, Jerry Heller, Egyptian Lover, and his girlfriend, Lisa, who was running his label, the Egyptian Empire, with us at West Coast Record Distributors. And we just let it be known, hey man, we can't condone this shit, man. And we gave him an ultimatum. He chose them. I couldn't go nowhere. I was kind of quiet because I still had another 6 months on my contract with Jerry as my manager. Okay, I had another 6 months, whatever it was. So me and Adrian got super cool. He's working with me on my label, and Michel'le was pretty much out of business. But I'm selling records big time because I got my whole catalog from Michel'le before he shut down. And I had to start, I started selling records through West Coast, but I also had my own, me and Unknown had our own little distribution thing here at the pad called Pacific Coast for a minute. Bottom line, we called the meeting, and Jerry tried his best to convince us that he would be a lot more powerful if we stayed with him. We said, man, that's going to hurt our imagery in our own community, though. We can't condone bitches and hoes and all this bullshit, and it's still look folks in the face. Again, at some point in time, money made some people from the community turn their blind eye to it, but that was our stance on it. We dance promoters, we boogie folks, we having a good time. We Jerry curl wearing cats with hard sole shoes and slacks and shit, and we ain't, we're not prepared mentally to become or support the thug shit. We knew the impact. We got people dying every day from this shit, and it wasn't something we was gonna get behind. And he gracefully he bowed out gracefully and got behind Eazy E. He says he wanted us to all join Ruthless Records. Why would we do that? Why would we even consider joining Ruthless Records? We got our own distribution company. We have our own distribution company. We made $1 million the first year. We had Rodney O and Joe Cooley's album. We had King T's first album, JJ Fad's Supersonic. We had Compton's Most Wanted, the Compton compilation. We had Egyptian Empire's catalog. So we was doing big things already independently. We did it before Suge and Jay Prince and Jay-Z them got together long before they thought about doing that shit. We'd already done it independently. Independent. That's why I was saying it was always two different records. It was always two different record industries. There was your majors and your independents. We work with the independent distributors, the one stops and the independent distributors, because every region had its own independent. Sony had theirs. Sometimes, depending on who the independent was, they may be able to buy from Sony also. But that didn't stop them from buying from us, and they would buy from us, especially if we had hot shit. Our shit coming out fast. Independent majors come out slower. They put more money behind the shit, but we could have a regional hit and everybody can get paid before the majors even get their goddamn marketing plan together. And that's what it was for a long time. And eventually, a lot of those distributors either got bought up or went out of business. Same thing with radio stations. Same thing I said on Dr. Green Thumbs. You either had P1s and P2s. P1s were your high-end radio stations like Kiss FM, Power 106. They all P1s, but you got P2s, which is your mom and pop station in the cornfield that will play your shit just to have you come to town. Little to no money invested. You may have a local hit. Wrecking Crew did a lot of interviews in cornfields and shit. Okay? Corn for real. Passing by, look at that goddamn cow taking the shit. That, that kind of stuff. Stuff we never seen before. A locust, fucking swarm of locusts. We driving to a swarm of goddamn locusts to go to the goddamn radio station. You got you got grasshoppers all over your ass. Man, shit was crazy. That's real shit, Doc.
Hell nah, man. Man, great show. That flew by, Lonzo. Any last words before you hit him with that outro?
Oh man, you know how we do it, Doc. Just support my documentary Eve After Dark on Tubi, YouTube, and Amazon, and look for N.W.A. because it ain't without me, it ain't going down, folks. All right,
hit them.
For those who never heard of me, I'm the first one to put Dr. Dre in the surgery, stuck an ice cube in the freezer until he got cold on the Eve After Dark, 50-yard line to the Super Bowl. In the movie Straight Outta Compton, they played me like a hater of rap. Don't believe that Hollywood bullshit because it was all cap. My history goes deeper than you will ever know. Just remember that N.W.A. stands for not without Alonzo. Peace, y'all.